All clips, photos, and music used in this video are owned by their respective companies. I do not claim to own any rights to these properties. All assets are used for learning and reviewing purposes. And hello, everybody. Welcome to Nothing But Horror. In today's episode, we are going to be going over some of the Easter eggs found in one of the most anticipated games of 2020. Not that one. Today we will be going over the newly released Resident Evil 3, released April 3rd of 2020. This game happened to be released on the PC, Xbox, and PS4. All footage shown today is my gameplay experience through the PS4. As we get to go over the best Easter eggs, some of the weirdest Easter eggs, and all around every single one I could possibly find through my first gameplay experience. Now, this game is absolutely covered with good Easter eggs and references, not only to Resident Evil 2, but to other games and movies as well. Let's start with the posters. When we first leave Jill's apartment after our encounter with the Nemesis, we can find the big cinema burning up in flames, and these posters are all references to actual movies. The poster used for Air Combat 1942 is a reference to the Tom Cruise film Top Gun, released in 1986. Another poster we can see up on the cinema lineup is a Command Team poster. This is a nod to another Capcom title created in the 90s, Captain Commando. By looking at the man in the poster, you can easily see the resemblance he has from the main character of the series. I mean, just look at the glasses. And right next to that, we have a poster for a film titled Disaster. I look at this and I believe that it is a reference to the Alien series, as we do have another poster that closely resembles that down in the subway station. A car off the roof later, and we finally make our way to the substation where we find a good amount of Easter egg posters. One you get to see is a poster for a science conversation that will host two scientists from another Capcom world. Yes, the two men on the poster are in fact Dr. Willy and Dr. Light from the Mega Man series. Look, it even says their names down there. Does this mean that Mega Man takes place in the same universe as Resident Evil? Who knows? Another poster that we find deep in the subway shows a familiar looking clown. This clown is a direct reference to the horrifying clown prince himself, Pennywise, from the Stephen King novel It. We can spot a poster reference to one of my favorite all-time movies, the Terminator series, as the monster on the poster looks very similar to a Terminator. Maybe Nemesis is a Terminator and a secret droid, and Jill's our secret Sarah Connor. Inside of the train station, we also find a comic poster which shows us references to a couple other titles. Fighting Story is obviously a spin on Street Fighter, as the comic shows a character that kinda looks a little bit like Ken. Another cool Street Fighter Easter egg that we find in the game is Eagle's Pet Shop. This is based off the character himself, Eagle from Street Fighter. Another set of posters we get to see are laid out in the toy store. When walking upon it, you can see a poster that reads out Monster Shooter. This is obviously a direct reference to another Capcom titled Monster Hunter. And one of the newest additions, you can actually play as Claire and Leon from Resident Evil 2. And right next to that poster, you can also see another Capcom reference poster with a poster titled Arthur, which is a reference to the game Ghosts and Goblins, in which you control the main character Arthur himself. And while looking at the toy store, you can notice a very known Capcom character. When you unlock the lockpick, we can make our way inside and see that the character is none other than Mega Man himself. But something is a bit off. He looks a little bit more like his early American box art, which is a very conversational piece. We can also see this kind of look in the video game Tekken X Street Fighter, which is not one of my favorite looks. One thing that I think is seriously overlooked and underappreciated is how well this installment connects to last year's Resident Evil 2, as it helps fill in the gaps from the two stories that had collided, and seeing how things in RE3 fixes up some of the questions left in the last installment. From the very beginning, the connections begin. If you look on Jill's investigation board about Umbrella, you can see a photo of Annette Birkin. Was Jill hot on her trails and almost close to finding the underground facility we found in last year's game? And after another one of our famous battles with the monster Nemesis, Jill finds herself on the back side of the RPD building, the same side that the kendo shop lays at, and the path to the orphanage we see in Resident Evil 2. We enter the gun shop to find the man himself. He just so happens to pull the exact same move on Jill as he does on Leon in RE2. Unlike for Leon though, Kendo quickly puts his gun down when he sees who it is, and the two conversate about a way out, as Jill tries to tell Kendo to go to the station. Unfortunately, Kendo has other plans as his daughter is already infected by the time Jill gets to them. It is revealed in the previous game and pulled at the heartstrings, adding in another layer and depth to the man who simply just died in the original 1998 game. This shows how the newly added Easter egg in Resident Evil 2, Jill's Note, is left connecting the two in a great way. Later on in the game, during our new Carlos segment, as we see him going into the RPD building for a search and rescue mission, we finally get the answers to a long-awaited question. Who bit Marvin? Well, the answer's finally here. It was actually Brad Vickers who did the deed. After yelling at Brad to stop, Marvin is stunned when he hears the word sorry come out of Brad's undead mouth, lowering his guard down, giving Brad the upper hand and letting him take a bite out of him. This is the mistake he later warns Leon about in Resident Evil 2. Well, sorry for that, Marvin, but you did your best and you will be missed. Now that we finally have found Brad, we get to put the man to rest and see as to why he was not in last year's installment. Killing him will give you access to a keycard that will unlock cases all throughout the RPD building. This is a direct reference to finding him in the original 1998 Resident Evil 2. As if you go through the entire first section without picking up a single item, under the staircase of the police station you will find an undead Brad. You can kill him and it will grant you access to a locker that will have both costumes for Leon and Claire, along with special kinds of guns that we later unlock in the player's second story in the remake. Carlos can also visit the poster that both main characters in RE2 see in their second game scenarios of Brad. Now that we enter the RPD building as Carlos, we get to see the place hours before Leon and Claire arrive at the building. As you explore the area, Carlos has some comments on the building, being one of the few survival horror game characters with common sense. When going to the door that leads to the east office, Carlos sees the keep out sign and says,
"Alright, you want me to keep out? I'll keep out."
Leon should have learned to read since he really missed out on that one. When Carlos comes up to the door, he's the first person to say what the average player would think.
"Now here's a weird fucking door."
Another great RPD building Easter egg in connection to RE2 is that all of the lockers and safe within the building are the exact same combinations as the one in the previous game. While inside of the STARS building within the RPD station, if you happen to aim your weapon at the dartboard and take a shot exactly in the middle, you can have a dialogue sequence between both Carlos and Tyrell.
Oh yeah, the kid still got it. Let that be a lesson to all dartboards.
We make our way into the West Hall, we finally get a glimpse of what happened to the dead man we find laying on the floor in RE2, along with the hanging man right next to him. The lickers got to them, taking them out faster than you can say Umbrella Corps was a horrible game. It's a little nice way of showing what had happened to the officers we see inside of the police station before the events of the previous game. As Carlos makes his way through the first floor, he also comments on the Welcome Leon sign hanging up in his shared office.
Yeah. Welcome, Leon. Bet you had a kick-ass first day.
Another question and theory we all had was finally put to rest. Who the hell put the hole in the wall? Was it a licker? Was it Nemesis? A hunter? Nope, just Carlos with a C4. He blows up the wall in the shower room that we see in RE2. Nemesis actually never goes into the RPD building, sadly, and I would have loved to have a chase scene inside of the place. It would have been amazing. Another Easter egg we find in the same exact shower room is a note left behind by the dead soldier in the locker that Leon or Claire finds during their time in the station. The note reads out that the sound in the locker is his undead corpse and they should not open the locker. Good thing Carlos has common sense and says this when approaching the locker.
Better not.
Another cool nod to Resident Evil 2 is the music that plays in the Moon Donut Shop. It's the original Leon 1998 ending music that seems to be a little too action-y rock for a survival horror. One little thing to pass by. Give it a listen when you can, it's a pretty good song. Resident Evil 2 isn't just the only title in the series that is referenced within this game. From the very start of the game when playing as Jill, we get nods to the oldest game in the timeline, Resident Evil 7. With the beginning of the game starting out in first person, we are able to move around Jill's apartment in this view. Jill enters her bathroom and is wearing a white t-shirt and dark pants, which is very similar to the woman we try to save in Resident Evil 7, Mia Winters. Zoe also has the same exact outfit. So I'm just assuming that the women in the RE universe love to wear similar outfits. Jill also has a nightmare sequence that also heavily reminds me of when Mia turns during the RE7 game. We also get a little nice nod to the very first Resident Evil game. When walking in Jill's apartment, we can find her original hat laying out on one of her shelves. Her original outfit can also be unlocked once you beat the game and buy it from the shop. We also see the original STARS photo that can also be found in the STARS office, not only in Resident Evil 2, the remake, but also the original. And that's about all the Easter eggs that I found through my first playthrough of Resident Evil 3. If I happen to miss any, just comment down below on the one we missed and we might cover it in another video. Until then, this has been Nothing But Horror. Give the video a thumbs up and subscribe when you get a chance. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.